We're up to Zman Haktaras Heimurim Midrabanan. You remember that the first Mishnah in Shas, which we quoted yesterday, sets up a Gzera D'Rabbanan that even when you have the entire night, but we want you to finish it up by Chatzos. And that's a D'Rabbanan. And we spoke about Korban Pesach should be eaten by Chatzos, even though the Rabbanan would allow you to eat it the entire night. Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe in Korban Pesach they would be lenient, but in other Korbanos they require that you finish, whatever you have to finish it by Chatzos. Now we want to talk about Haktaras Heimurim. Now in the case of Haktaras Heimurim, you have the entire night until Alos HaShachar to be makter the Heimurim. Yesh min harishonim asovim shem rabbanan kidei laharchik sodom veder yesh lahakter kodem chatzos. That the Gzeres Chachamim, that Harchaka requiring that Chatzos should be the termination date, time, that is not a din in Achilas Agavra necessary, to prevent the person from Macholas Asuras if he leaves it till the morning, but rather it's a din in guaranteeing the Kiyum HaKrova, and part of the Kiyum HaKrova is Haktaras Heimurim al Gabi Mizbeach. So the Achilas Mizbeach should also be a subject of concern, in which case the Chachamim want to guarantee that you don't delay the Achilas Mizbeach beyond its allotted time. And therefore the Chachamim require this Harchak of Ad Chatzos, even vis-a-vis Haktaras Heimurim. But Yesovrim, so Tiknu came back Torah. That as far as Haktarah is concerned, we don't find any harchaka, any source in the Talmud for a din of harchaka ad chatzos. And in fact, the Torah says in Vayikra Vav, al mokda al mizbech kol halayla. So the Torah really commands us to burn the Eimurim kol halayla. And the Chachamim are not going to contradict the Torah law itself. Now, in Shin Samach Tes, he tells you that the Rambam, in Ma'aseh Korbanos Perek Daled, Tosef Psachim Kuf Hey, Kuf Chaf, are of the opinion that Takaras Chacham K'dei L'Harchik Sodom Vera, Shehuzkor b'Mishnah b'Brachos Higam L'Gabei Haktarah. And in both cases, we try to guarantee that the mitzvah was fulfilled in its time period, so therefore we need that harchaka, that gzera of ad chatzos. V'yesh lahaktir kodem chatzos. Rashi in Masechta Brachos, at the very beginning of the Masechta, says that the Mishnah didn't mention hekter chalovim ve'varim in order to establish and teach us that it has to be ad chatzos. Or rather, lo'odia shekol davar noig b'layla noig kol alayla. Like the Mishnah says that anything that is noig alayla, you give it the whole night. But the Chacham or March. So as far as Haktaras Heimurim, Rashi learns, only the first statement of the Mishnah is relevant, namely that you have the entire night. But as far as the second statement of the Mishnah, that the Rabbanan instituted a Gzera ad Chatzos, that doesn't apply to Haktaras Heimurim. And it's not only Rashi, but it's also the Meiri. La Sovrim Shetzarach Lahaktir Kodem Chatzos, according to the Rambam Shit and Tosam Psachim, Im Ovar Chatzos V'lo Hiktir, Shagasari says, Ein Lahaktir B'di'evet Li'achar Chatzos. You see, with regard to Achilas Adam, we said that B'di'evet Ovar v'lo ochal, on the top line here on this left column, Ovar v'lo ochal ad chatzos, he says the machlokas rishonim whether b'di'evet he should eat it after chatzos. For example, Tosas Shita is that b'di'evet you can eat it after chatzos. Says the Shagas Aryeh, but as far as Haktarah is concerned, according to Shitas HaTosfos, that the harchaka d'Rabbanan applies even to Haktaras Eimurim, im lo hiktir, ein lahaktir, b'di'evet li'achar chatzos. Yeah, but the Shagasai is saying this only in the Rambam Shita. He can't say it in Tosfos. Why? Because we don't even know if there is a din of a Gzeirad Chatzos and Haktaras Eimurim. But certainly, even if I grant you that there is such a thing, the Rambam and Tosfos, it's not more chamor than Achilas Basar HaKodshim, which has to be Midrabanan eaten before Chatzos. And there, Tosfos is committed to the position that B'di'eved im lo achlan kodem chatzos yachol liyochlam araboke. Although the Rabbanan lechatchila required that you eat it before chatzos, that's only lechatchila. But B'di'eved, Tosfos Shita, is that you will eat it after chatzos. And if that's the case as far as achilas adam, how much more so as far as Haktaras Eimurim after chatzos? That would certainly be okay. But the Rambam Shita, according to Shagas Aryeh, is that both with regard to Achilas Adam of Basar HaKodshim and with regard to Achilas Mizbeach of Haktaras Eimurim, if Chatzos passed, the mitzvah of Achila is Avar Zman, and it's butter. Okay. Now, in the past, we've discussed Lina, but we never discussed the principle of protecting Lina, like creating a protective shield or fence around Lina to sort of make it impossible for Lina to penetrate. So now we're going to talk about Lina al gabe marocha. Then we can talk about Lina b'rosho shel mizbeach, Lina al gabe sovev, al gabe kevesh, al gabe yisod. Different scenarios of Lina where the basar hakodshim, the zevach, is on the mizbeach or on some adjunct of the mizbeach. So the first issue is going to be al gabe maroch. You've already put the imurim on the fire; they're burning. But now it's late, and it's after Amud HaShachar. Would there be a psul lina? And the answer is no. For sure, when it comes to the marocha, when it's on the fire will protect it from a psul lina. And once again, we go back to the pasuk al mokdah al mizbeach kol halayla. Al ha-mizbeach. And mokdah. Mokdah means the marocha on the mizbeach. Now, what happens if the avarim are burning, but they're not inside the fire? So again, this is a little bit of a deviation from our main topic, which is various parts of the mizbeach. Avarim shemeshalich bahena or the yardu min mizbeach. So again, he started the process of burning the basar zevach, the emurim and so forth and so on. But he didn't complete the process of burning it. And before it got burnt up, it fell off the mizbeach. And now it's after alos hashach. Should we apply the principle of lina? On the one hand, it's not on the mizbeach, and therefore it's subject to lina. On the other hand, it's already burning. So you've begun the process of haktarah. That's going to be a machlokes between, he tells you in the bottom, the Karen Ora on the one side, and the Rashash on the other side. Let's go through the Shitas here in footnote Shin Ayin Dal. Das HaKeren Ora, She'af Shelo Hoyu Al Gabi Mizbech Alos HaShachar, even though these Eivarim are located outside the Mizbech, off the premises of the Mizbech by the time the sun rises, Alos HaShachar. Einam Nifsalim Belina, V'chein Tzidei Barashash, V'amigdash David, Vasav Shemidivei Atosis Muchach, Shegam Beofen Zen Nifsalim Belina. We want to say Shalom Aleichem to Don, because yesterday there was some sort of a technological problem. The only thing I can come up with is that maybe I forgot to close and end the previous shir. Therefore, that link is not going to get you anywhere because the host didn't even open this link. I left open that link. And there's a klal in Zoom, I don't know if it applies to any other technologies, that ein poskim shnei psakim b'masach. You can't open up two at times. That's my only explanation. Okay. So now we're talking about Mishala ben Esa'or. So the basar of the Murim were placed on the Maracha, and the Kohen did what he was required to do. But then, before the basar was totally burnt, it came off to this bed. And now it's after Alus HaShach, which would normally engender the psul of Lina. And we can't put this basar back onto the Mizbeach, back onto the Maracha. So the Achiezer, who lived about a century ago, no, it's probably a little more already, but I think he was still alive ago, Rav Chaim Ozer, he says it depends. How much of the basar is actually up in flames? If it's only miktas, there is a flame that's licking, the underside of the basar, but it's not really surrounding the basar. Like if you've ever made a campfire, you'll see you put in a piece of wood and sometimes the fire circles around the wood. Have you ever seen that? No? I guess you wanted to do B'nai Akiva maybe. Anyway, that's what we used to do. We used to make campfires. So he says that if it's only sholah ha'or b'miktsaso, the fire is holding on to the tippy ends of the basar, then it's not matzelos minalino. It cannot protect the basar and ward off, so to speak, the psul of lina. But hutzas ha'or berubo, so it's not exactly where I said it, that it's totally surrounded by the fire, but the meat is mostly surrounded by the fire. So most of the meat is already burning. That's already beginning the kiyum of Haktorah. And then, b'ofen zeh, matzeles, it saves the basar from the psul of lina. So the way the Achiezer seems to be learning this, and the halacha of Hatzalah min psul lina, is that if there's a kiyum of Haktorah, then there's no way that basar can become basar. Once the kiyum Haktorah is already in place, it's already in effect, then you can't passel the basar with lina. And the kiyum Haktorah depends upon rov. Only when most of the basar is caught on fire. And again, I don't think that the Achiezer would require that most of the basar be actually burnt, but that the fire is already caught on most of the basar. That is already a significant, front foot forward in terms of Aktorah. And once the process of Aktorah is begun, there's no psul in the basar of lina. Now we get back to our main topic for today, and that is the Mizbeach. We said that the Mizbeach protects the basar from the psul lina. What part of the Mizbeach? Well, the most extreme example, the most dramatic example was the Maracha. And that we said that if the basar is on the Maracha and the kiyum of Haktorah is already in place, then for sure it would protect the basar from a psul lina. So that's called al gabi Maracha. Now we get to Rosho Shel Mizbeach. It means you climb up, from the Yisod, you go to the Sovev. For the Sovev, you get to the Gag HaMizbeach. Now we're on the Gag HaMizbeach. But we're not on the Maruch. It's not on the fire. The basar is just inches away from being placed onto the fire. And we save it from the psul of lina of Hamurat Shachar. That's a sugya in Masechtas Zvachim Daf Pei Zayin. And there are two shittas in the Gemara as far as whether there's a psul lina, the Rosh HaMizbeach. Rabba Omer Ein Lina Poselos B'Rosh HaMizbeach. Rabba holds that Rosh HaMizbeach, even if it's not on the Maracha, will protect the basar from lina. Or Rava Sover, between Rabba and Rava. Rava Sover Shalina Poselos B'Rosh HaMizbeach. It's not on the Maracha. The Haktorah has not begun yet, and therefore it's subject to the psul of lina with Alos Hashem. A Rambam, we can anticipate this without even looking, is going to paskin like Rava, and lina b'rosh HaMizbeach is a psul. And he quotes a sefer called the Minchas Soles, who brings many proofs from languages and writings of Rashi here, there, and elsewhere that ein lina poseles b'rosh HaMizbeach, against the shita of Rava, against the shita of the Rama. Now I'm thinking out loud, if you would write on a piece of paper, let's say, Ya'al Kigam, so then the Lamed of Ya'al could be Lina. I'm just thinking out loud. And Ya'al Kigam are the 6 cases that we paskin like Abaye against Rav. If Lamed would be Lina B'Rosh HaMizbeach, then maybe we could paskin like Abaye. Now, I don't know that Abaye agrees to Rabba, that Ein Lina Poseles B'Rosh HaMizbeach. That I can't prove to you, but it could be a possibility, a very likely possibility. And if you ask me why the Gemara mentions Rabba and not Abaye, it could be because Abaye is a Talmud of Rabba. But he certainly disagreed with Rava and held Ein Lina Poseles B'Rosh HaMizbeach. So therefore, when we started with the pasuk of Al Mokdah, which refers to the Maracha, the Aish, what is the compelling logic to expand it to include Rosh Hashanah Mizbeach? And I'm not sure, either because Rosh Hashanah Mizbeach is also called Mokdah, because the Kohen is standing there ready to just drop the basar onto the Aish. That's already considered al Mokdah. Or we're saying a different halach entirely. And that is that the Mizbeach is as an entity, as a whole, can protect the basar from lina. Next, we get to the Sovev. And you remember the Sovev was like 6 amma up from the ground, and it was a ledge of 1 amma width going around that would give the Kohen access to the top part of the Mizbeach. And the Sovev is part of the Mizbeach. It's clearly not the Maracha. And Tosafos says that Ein Lina Poselos Al Gabe Sovev. Now, this really boggles the mind, because why then would the Rosh HaMizbeach be worse than the Sovev? The Sovev is a ledge, so to speak, to facilitate the Kohen circling around the Mizbeach. The Rosh HaMizbeach is right near the Maracha. And we said, and that's what the Karen Orah points out, that the Rosh Hashanah Mizbeach ain't psulina. Why should the Sovev? No, that was according to the Shita of the Karen Orah, but the second. No, 1 second. I got it. If we paskin like Rabbah, is Ein Lina Posels Rosh. Fine. Oh, but Rava. Oh, so Rava and the Rambam paskins like Rava is Lina Poselis B'Rosh HaMizbeach, and yet Ein Lina Poselis Al Gabe HaSovev. Anybody have a clue? I don't see any logic. What am I missing? What I suggest is we look into the Rambam in Psuli HaMukdashim. Steve, would you be open to volunteering if I volunteer you? We're looking at a book called Avoda in the third parak of Psuli HaMukdashim. Trying to find some logic here. I have here Eric Gimel Psuli HaMukdashim Halacha Yud Aleph. No, this is not it. Oh, this is Yisur Mizbeach. We're looking for Psuli HaMukdashim. Can you find that? Should be right before there. Again, this might be a wild goose chase because he's quoting Tosfos and I'm looking in the Rambam. But what would be the logic? So if you'll see if we were to pass like Rab, then everything is consistent. We're saying whatever is the Mizbeach is the Mizbeach. In other words, all parts of the Mizbeach prevent Lina. So Rosh Hashanah Mizbeach, according to Rabbah, prevents Lina. And then the Sovev is also part of the Mizbeach that prevents Lina. But if we're going to pass like Rava, which he says in the note, the Rambam passes like Rava, and Lina Postelis Barosh Hashanah Mizbeach, why should the Sovev be any better than the Rosh Hashanah Mizbeach? Logically, it seems inconsistent. Which chelik? This is Avoda? So maybe it's the. I said it was. What did I say to you? Paragimel? Which halacha did I tell you? I don't know. Yud Aleph? Eivarim v'chalovim ukmatzim shalonu b'rosho shal mizbeach ki'ilu lonu ba'azor. In other words, ki'ilu lonu ba'azor means that there's a psul of lina, and it's b'rosho shal mizbeach. Passing like Rava against Rab. Let's see if anybody points that out. Rava. Pasak Rava the Basra. Okay. I'm not sure what the klolim are, but anyway, he passes Rava. But as far as Soviet is concerned, I don't know. He doesn't talk about Soviet. I mean, that's he quotes a Tosfos. Okay. So this remains an outstanding question for me, at least. And we'll just look at the next paragraph, and then we'll go on. Lina al gabi kevesh. And now we quote Tosfos in Masechta Yoma that Lamandi Omer Ein Lina Moeles Rosh Shel Mizbeach Ein Yegam V'Kevesh. So again, if Rosh Hashanah Mizbeach, which is not the Maroch, is Matzir from Psulina, then the same thing could apply to any part of the Mizbeach, including the Kevesh. So that's the sheet of Tosfos in Yoma. Yesh Mishakasav Listape, and here we turn to Chav, Im Kavonas HaTosfos L'chol HaKevesh, so now we're dividing up the kevesh into two parts, and the part that's really an integral part of the avoda is the top part of the kevesh, where the kohen is already right near the mizbeach. Yesh mishakasav sherak chelik hakevesh min hasovev ulamala ein lina poselos. Okay, then, so let's just take a note of where we got up to.